This is Lance Cinema. I'm the gallery director for the Bryan Oliver Gallery at Whitworth University. I'm here chatting with one of the artists participating in our first exhibit of the year. This is Rachel Pryor.
Hello, I'm Rachel Pryor. I graduated in the spring from Whitworth, as we all did in this show. I studied painting and printmaking, and I'm from North Bend, Washington.
Great, thanks Rachel. It's really nice to have you here, to see you again after a strange summer.
No kidding.
So I have some questions I'd like to ask about the work and just get some insight into what it is that you're doing here with this sort of body of work. So just right off the bat though, I'm curious, who or what are some of your current artistic inspirations?
There's quite a few things. I think one of the big ones that's pretty apparent is things that fascinated me as a child, like dollhouses, glitter, stickers, girly colors, children's books. I think all of those things just kind of evoke genuine excitement in me, the way that they always have. Interior design. I spend a lot of time browsing through Pinterest, Instagram, looking at like French decor, Victorian, a lot of that stuff, because I think the way that homes are decorated especially can evoke a mood. They're more than just like a pleasant surface to look at, you know?
Yeah.
I think they kind of communicate emotions and personality. Also musicians, primarily lyrics, like imagery and music that I like to listen to, like musicians like Lana Del Rey, Nicole Dollanganger. I really like the image of kind of soft femininity with an undertone of darkness and tragedy.
Yeah, very good. That's excellent. Sort of building on something you were saying there with the interest in interior design and the ability of interior design to sort of express the emotions of, or the something about the person who lives in that space. In a lot of your work that we see in the gallery, you're presenting interior spaces, and generally they're empty of human figures. There's sometimes a shadow of something, or a shadow of a person, or I think there's animals, cats in any of them.
I tend to avoid animals.
Okay, maybe there's no animals either. Maybe it's the one with the stickers. I think there's. I thought anyway. But just as sort of building on that idea, the interior spaces that you're creating, do you see them as stand-ins for people? Can you sort of delve into that just a little bit more?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I use them as stand-ins for people so much as stand-ins for like a state of mind. Because I am very fascinated with like the complexity of mood and emotion, and I think the ability to like identify and feel things like fully is a valuable skill, and somehow like creating an image that feels like the right place to feel whatever that is makes it more satisfying to me and easier in a way. So I think I use like the structure of the room, the objects within it, all of that to kind of communicate a mood, a feeling, and also create a space that feels like the right space to feel that feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they do very much take on, I mean, the rooms are very moody, and often there's variation either within a painting or within this particular body of work, which again is sort of leading into the next question. I've been familiar with your work for a number of years since you've been a student at Whitworth, and seeing some of the pieces in this that I know are newer, I'm curious because there seems to be some bigger mood shifts or mood swings than in previous work. I'm curious about that. I'd like to know more about that. And I'm sort of interested in hearing too if each piece, you see each piece is representing what some of those emotions or those moods are that you're representing, especially with I forgot the name of it, but The Dream House? Is it called Dream House?
Pink. I think it's Pink Dream House.
Pink Dream House. Yeah, yeah. Because that one seems lighter,
Yeah.
maybe than some of the other ones. So could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. I agree. There's definitely kind of like a mood swingy vibe to the collection, the body of work as a whole. I definitely use art as a way of processing emotions and delving into things internally. And like I was saying earlier, I really think it's important to identify and really feel your feelings, and creating work that reflects whatever that is is very helpful to me in that way. It's something I appreciate about other artworks when it feels like it really captures the mood that I'm feeling. And I do think this summer in particular has been full of a lot of ups and downs.
Right.
We all know some of the crazy things that have been happening in the world. At the same time, like, I got engaged. Like, you know, there's some exciting things happening too.
Yeah.
I also I feel things intensely. Like, that's just who I am as a person. So I think that it's kind of natural for me to go from something that's kind of dark and almost scary to this light and dreamy and happy. Like, you know, that can happen to me in briefer periods of time than maybe others.
Oh. And I mean, it's wonderful to see the variety of expression that you have with the moods of the piece, and yet there's technically and thematically, it all works together so well as a group, right? It's not that anyone is separate. It's just like seeing, oh, you know, at this time it was like this, and then at this time it's like this. So it's a nice representation of the artist and sort of the progress of an artist and the things that are happening. And congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you.
Moving to a more technical question, I know that a number of your works, you work with both printmaking and painting. Sometimes they're separate and sometimes they're together. I'm curious about that connectivity that happens when you mix those processes, when you use printmaking as a base, or use printmaking as part of the process, and then painting becomes part of the process. So could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think my favorite pieces are usually the ones that combine printmaking and painting, because with linocut printmaking, I really enjoy the harsh, kind of decisive lines that you can make, especially when I print in black ink, which I basically always do. And that combined with kind of the, I guess, more complexity of color that is available with adding in the oil paint.
Right.
I just find that to be a really interesting and unique combination. Plus, it allows me to do like kind of a more childish, cartoonish style in a more serious format of oil paint on canvas.
Right.
And I like that kind of juxtaposition.
You mentioned color in there, and you've talked a little bit about color already with setting mood. Can you talk a little bit about color schemes or the importance of color, even if it's like, I don't know what you're thinking, but or what you've but like whether it's related to a specific piece, or especially with the ones that are so different. So the Dream House, I forgot the first word, but the Dream House, and then the first the Dollhouse painting, right? There's a very different sort of mood set by the color. Can you talk a little bit about color and your use of color?
I think I do sort of two separate things with color, and one of them is to set the mood, express the emotion, but also to kind of communicate the perspective from which the art was created or conceived of. So in the Pink Dream House one, where the pastels are more vibrant and cheerful, almost to the point of being like crazy looking, I think it creates an environment of like joyful, like childish, playful peacefulness. but it also kind of shows that I think I made that in a time of feeling a little bit desperate to feel that way. And I think that's kind of reflected in the like cotton candy clouds and
Right.
like it's a
Right.
little bit like psycho happy
Right.
in my mind.
Oh. I was actually going to ask that as a follow-up question. With that piece in mind, is like the idea that it's a reflection of the sort of the joy of childhood and these colors, but it takes that as like 2 or 3 steps further to sort of the manic need for it as an adult, where you want to feel this way, you want to sort of recreate that feeling you had as a child, but you absolutely cannot. And so it's like the color is like it's yeah, it's I mean it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like it hits you, like pushes past that and hits you, and you talk. Yeah, I think manic is the word.
That's a
like,
good
like
way
that,
to describe
just,
it for
just
sure.
You want to feel that so badly, and so the color pushes beyond sort of the expectation of the pink dream house or the toys that you had, right? And like sort of amplifies that and pushes beyond that to a point where it's almost painful. So it's like a painful desire for that.
Yeah, and then that tied in with the 2 rooms that are kind of stacked on top of each other in a way that looks unstable. As if this is what I want so badly, but it's not really real anymore, and you know that moment of feeling that it's gonna come toppling down.
Right.
And then whereas the dollhouse painting that you also brought up, you know, very dominantly pink. There are pastels, but they're more muted, and it's that one. It's kind of meant to communicate like the memory of being a little girl, and how, you know, memories are faded. It's harder to remember, but at the same time, that painting is indirectly about my childhood, and so I kind of was coming at that from the perspective of like kind of the dreariness that I felt back then with some of the things that I experienced.
Sure.
So it was kind of meant to represent that perspective of being a little girl, but also seeing things in this kind of like weird, dreary way.
Interesting. Very good. The last question I have for you has to do with sort of more specific content choices or things that we see fairly regularly in the pieces, it seems like, whether it's the ones that are in the exhibit now or other ones that you can see on this blog in the portfolio section where you have more work. But there seems to be a fair number of representations, whether it's in the larger composition where it's the shape of the shape of the building, or whether it's within a small space, like looking at little paintings or drawings or prints on the walls within a space. But we see there seems to be a lot of things that reference the ocean or relate to ocean and water. Sailboats, lighthouses, shorelines, waves, water. These are a pretty significant component of a lot of the work. I'm just curious about that and where that is coming from.
The simple answer is I've been obsessed with the ocean for as long as I can remember. I think I could probably psychoanalyze myself for hours trying to figure out why exactly. But I feel like that would only be interesting to me. But I mean, the simple answer that I can give probably is that my just deep, genuine love of the ocean is something that's been consistent for me for no matter what I've ever been going through. And, you know, my daydreams of living in a lighthouse, that's something that's just always been able to cheer me up.
Yeah.
So while I sometimes like to delve into those deeper, darker emotions, I think I like to sprinkle in a little bit of whatever else is going on here. Like, I always have this. I don't really know why, but I just love it.
Yeah. There's that little bit of like happy daydream or that hope for the future, that hope for something that that thing that you enjoy that's not maybe nostalgic. It may be nostalgic related to experiences at the beach or at the ocean, but it's also this hope for, like, who knows in the future. Maybe
Yeah.
I could live in a lighthouse, or
Fingers
maybe
crossed.
maybe I could live at least by the ocean or near
Yeah.
the ocean, so that you could visit regularly. Yeah, I was just curious about that, as it is a fairly frequent
Oh yeah, it's in
part of
almost
your
everything I
part
do.
of your composition. So, no, that's really great. I don't know. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, or you feel like we've?
I feel like we've covered a lot.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good things to say, and you've answered all my questions, so that's great. Thank you for taking a look at this video. Hopefully you'll have a chance to come to the gallery and take a look at the show and see the work in person. If you don't, there will be another video posted of sort of a slow walk by of Rachel's work, as well as the work of the other artists that will be posted on the blog. And you can find her work in the portfolio section of this of the blog. So there are a number of places where you can check out more of what she's been up to. And you probably have a website too, I think, that links from the blog, and so you can check out her work there. Thanks again.
Thank you.